Episode 324. Deal or no AI deal? OpenAI and Anthropic on going to war.
The primitive forms of artificial intelligence we already have proved very useful.
AI is a golden opportunity.
How do we ensure that this technology is regulated?
The long arc of technological history is now in an extraordinary new phase.
The AI 6 podcast with Joanne Sweeney.
It was an interesting few days as we watched public statements emerge from two of the world's most powerful AI companies on whether it would be a case of deal or no deal. The questions were centred on the red lines around military AI. And after all the negotiations, OpenAI got a deal with the US Department of War. Hello and welcome back to AI 6, the podcast that promises to teach you AI in just 6 minutes a day. At the weekends, we have the long listen. With most things these days, negotiations are often publicly shared on social media. And I was watching closely the developments between the US Department of War and AI Goliaths, OpenAI, creators of ChatGPT, and Anthropic, the creators of Claude. Then the news broke. OpenAI's CEO Sam Altman posted on X. Tonight we reached an agreement with the Department of War to deploy our models in their classified network. In all of our interactions, the DOW displayed a deep respect for safety and a desire to partner to achieve the best possible outcome. AI safety and wide distribution of benefits are the core of our mission. OpenAI is also sending what it calls FDEs, forward deployed experts, with security clearances into the Pentagon to advise on deployment and monitor risk in real time. This is the human in the loop, upgraded to expert in the loop at scale. So what were the red lines that OpenAI said deal to and Anthropic said no deal to? Well, they're agreed on them. Number one, mass domestic surveillance using AI and fully autonomous AI weapons. Axios reports that OpenAI's agreement formalises bans on using its models for mass surveillance or for fully autonomous weapons. In Altman's own words, domestic mass surveillance is off the table, and any use of force must remain a human responsibility, including for autonomous weapon systems. OpenAI pushed for deployments that stay in cloud environments. And why does this matter? Well, because when systems live in the cloud, you can centralize logging, auditing, and intervention. You can see what models are doing, you can pause them, and you can trace decisions after the fact. By contrast, edge deployment, running powerful models directly on drones, vehicles, or weapon platforms, removes that central control. Once the model is out in the field, it's much harder to monitor or override in real time. Anthropic agrees on the red lines, but they pushed back. In a blog post on their website, CEO Dario Amodi said, "The Department of War has stated that they will only contract with AI companies who accede to any lawful use and remove safeguards in the cases mentioned above. They have threatened to remove us from their systems," he says, "if we maintain these safeguards. They have also threatened to designate us a supply chain risk, a label reserved for US adversaries never before applied to an American company, and to invoke the Defence Production Act to force the safeguards removal. These latter two threats are inherently contradictory. One labels us a security risk, the other labels Claude as essential to national security. Regardless, these threats do not change our position. We cannot, in good conscience, accede to their request." This story is worth taking note of. It's a line in the sand where policymakers and lawmakers are moving into a whole new level of decision-making. When does responsible AI governance get dismissed as ideology, and when does it get recognised as necessary infrastructure? Both OpenAI and Anthropic agreed on the same core red lines. No domestic mass surveillance and no fully autonomous lethal weapons. But only one of them ended up with the Pentagon deal. And the difference comes down to framing. Anthropic presented its stance as a hard ethical boundary. It could not, in good conscience, cross, positioning its safeguards as a line it would rather lose business than soften. OpenAI, by contrast, framed almost identical constraints as a collaborative safety partnership with the Department of War, emphasising alignment with national security goals, cloud-based technical controls, and shared responsibility rather than refusal. In other words, the substance of the red lines were broadly the same. It was how each company narrated those lines to power, to the public, and to their government counterpart. That determined who walked away with a contract and who walked away with a ban. I suggest you read both statements from both companies in full and come to your own conclusions. That's it for today's show. If you're ready to turn these insights into skills, here's how I can help. Get your copy of my book, AI Playbook, on Amazon. It's the perfect companion to the show. For weekly AI strategy, subscribe to my newsletter, Human in the Loop, on LinkedIn. Or if you want to take the next big step, you can take our CPD accredited professional diploma in AI. Maybe you need something more tailored for your organisation. You can book a call in my calendar at digitaltraining.ie. Or if you work in government or public sector, go over to publicsectormarketingpros.com. If you found this episode useful, please share it with a pro that you know. And I'd love to read your comments on Spotify. And if you can, take a second to like, rate, or subscribe wherever you listen. It really helps the show. This is AI6. I'll talk to you on the next episode.